A dry time drinks trolley, which today, Susie, what have you selected?
Well, I've picked up a very nice tipple from Iford Cider, which is just outside Bath, but it's actually non-alcoholic, so it is their whole apple juice and soda, and it's very nice because it's not too fizzy, so it's like apple juice.
Excellent.
With a little bit of a sparkle.
Grown
so
up.
very nice.
A grown-up soft drink is what you're talking about.
A grown-up soft drink, yes.
Thank you. Well, pass it round whilst we have today's tale, which comes from Nick. Thank you very much indeed for this piece of pop history. Simon and the Holy Team, purveyors of justice and forgivers of all bad things. Well, we'll find out, won't we, Nick? I need to confess, although I suspect this might be considered an unforgivable sin. I'm going to give it my best shot. I can only hope that Sir Bob Geldof isn't listening at this time, as he doesn't seem to be the kind of guy who you should annoy. And yet, I'm afraid to say that is precisely what I have done. Mid-year I could handle, but Sir Bob, well, I'm not sure, really not sure at all. So, when Band-Aid song came out in 1984, as you know, Do They Know It's Christmas?
Correct, yeah.
Like most teens, I wanted to buy the record because I wanted to help feed all the needy people in Ethiopia. I had watched the news, I'd seen all the music superstars who had teamed up to make the record. So I went down to my local music record store to see what I could buy. It was full of teenagers, Father Simon, all trying to pay for their records at the same time. There were many top records being bought. This is back in the day when there were record stores to go
imagine
to.
That.
I remember seeing fans in the queue of Limahl in their skunk-like hairdos buying Never-Ending Story. Wham fans in their ridiculous cut-off denim shorts buying Freedom. I mean, whoever looked good in that? Well, apart from Wham. And a few Status Quo fans in double denim.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe they were Shakin' Stevens fans, or maybe they were both. Who can say? Did you have a double denim?
No, I didn't. No,
I think I certainly did.
Oh, good.
Anyway, Father Simon, the shop was buzzing. If you remember record shops, you would find the sleeve. This is the way they worked. You would find the sleeve of the record in the rack. You'd take the record that you wanted, you take the sleeve from the rack, you take it to the till. There they would find your vinyl and insert it into the sleeve. You paid, you left. That's how it was. So I picked up my Do They Know It's Christmas record sleeve and I headed to the counter so the lady could find the 7-inch vinyl in her drawers and put the vinyl in the sleeve. Afterwards, I went out of the shop thinking I'd done a good deed. I had a piece of history and I'd been on the side of the angels. I was feeling super good and righteous for the only time in my life. So I got on the bus home. I couldn't wait, because everyone used to do this. You inspect your purchase.
Of course.
So I carefully pulled out the record, and to my surprise, the lady in the store had put in 2 records. I had 2 copies of Band-Aid in one sleeve.
Oh.
Now, obviously, I wanted to take it back to the shop and point out their error and give back the record so that the other record could raise more money. But thinking of how far away the shop was by now, this seemed a little impractical. And I was lazy. Anyway, I'd done my best to heal the world. Because we are the world, Father Simon. We are the children.
We are.
We are the ones who make a brighter day.
Yes.
So let's start giving.
Indeed.
And it was hardly my fault if the shop lady had been careless. So I realised I wasn't going to take this back. And then, remarkably, a miracle happened. As I got off the bus, I met a friend of mine who was also on the way, and he was going to the music shop. He was going to buy his copy of Band-Aid. Well, seeing this as an opportunity, I said to him he could buy my record off me, but with a 20p markup. Because I said my mother had already bought me one, so he could have it. Ingenious, huh? And remember, this is the 80s, and this kind of thing was part of the way the economy worked. I remember Wall Street, greed is good. Remember that?
Yeah.
The age of yuppies.
Yeah.
So I took the money and I gave him the sleeveless second record whilst hiding my own copy under my jacket. I walked home with my money and a free record, but also knowing that my friend was happy to get his record and he didn't have to go and use the bus. Carbon footprint, anyone? As we didn't think of in the 80s. What a result. It really was a miracle, don't you think? Divine acknowledgement of my genius. However, upon reflection, says Nick, and over many decades of guilt, I now realise that I did wrong in making a profit from a worldwide charitable cause and ask for forgiveness because I should have done the Christian thing and gone back to the record store. Every time I hear Band Aid on the radio, I get a cold shiver down my back. Everyone remembers Live Aid with fondness, but not me. Woe is me, Father Simon. If Bob and Midge are listening, but mainly Bob, I'm very sorry, says Nick. Well, it is actually quite a shocking story because the whole point of the Band Aid record is to raise money. And Nick, I'm afraid, has gone... Maybe this is the unforgivable sin. Let's find out, Sister Susie.
Well, Nick, it wasn't your fault, and you could have gone back to
It was precisely his fault.
He could have gone back to the shop, but, you know, he was a kid and he don't have to go back on the bus again. So I understand why you didn't. However, I feel like you did your friend out of money as well because you gave him a copy without a sleeve. That's not what he paid for.
And 20p more.
And 20p more. And what I feel like you should have done is maybe donated the money to charity, which you didn't do. You pocketed it. So you profited from a charity and therefore I can't forgive you.
I think that's right. I'd be very, very interested to see if the brother from another gutter can get away with forgiving Nick, who's done a terrible thing.
Well, I mean, we have to remember that the friend was prepared to pay the extra markup. You know, no gun to the head there. He was going, yeah, there's the money. So there's no problem there. And I mean, we don't hear from Nick whether he did give them. Maybe he did. Maybe he gave all that money then to charity. And
do you remember the row that Bob Geldof had with Margaret Thatcher about the VAT?
Yes.
That's the world we're in.
Well,
you're charging more for Band Aid.
That we'll remember that. But I'm pretty sure that if Bob and Midge and Paul Young and Boy George and the rest of them who are Bananarama, they were all involved. I'm sure if they were listening, they'd pretty much forgive as well. So I know that I speak for them, and they would have forgiven. So we're going to forgive too. Who are we? So definitely.